Picture a random Monday morning, not a new year, not a promotion, not a big life moment, just Monday. You pour coffee, you check your bank app, then you do something you usually avoid. You Google one sentence, average income by age, and instantly your brain does the most dangerous thing it can do with money. It compares your life to a number. Not your skills, not your workload, not your stress level, a number. And if that number is higher than yours, you feel behind. If it is lower than yours, you feel safe. For about 10 seconds. Because then the second thought arrives. What if I am on the wrong timeline? Today, we are going to do this the right way. No shame, no flexing, no fantasy. We will map the income ladder by age, explain why the curve rises, why it flattens, and why it often drops. Then we will define the invisible milestone most people miss, the one that matters more than your income number. Because income is not freedom. Income is fuel. Freedom is what happens when your fuel builds an engine that can run without you. I'm Alex, and this is Wealth Strategy Explained, where we break money down into clear, real-life milestones so you can build freedom on purpose. Before we begin, quick disclaimer, because we're adults, this is educational and entertainment, not financial advice. Now let's get into it. Part 1. What these income numbers really are. When people say average income by age, they usually mean one of three different things. 1. Individual earnings for full-time workers. 2. Household income, which combines multiple people. 3. An online estimate that blends part-time, full-time, and everything in between. Those are not interchangeable. If you compare your personal paycheck to a household number, you will feel behind even when you are doing fine. If you compare a part-time year to a full-time benchmark, you will feel broken when you were simply early. So in this video, I want to use a clean, honest baseline, median earnings for full-time wage and salary workers by age group. Median is the midpoint, half make more, half make less. It is usually more useful than average because average gets pulled upward by high earners. And one more important detail, these numbers typically describe wage and salary workers, not self-employed owners. That matters because ownership income behaves differently. So think of this as a benchmark for the typical full-time worker timeline, a mirror, not a verdict. Part 2, the income ladder by age. Here's the ladder, expressed as approximate annual pay built from weekly median earnings times 52 weeks. Ages 16 to 19, about $32,000 per year. That's about $2,667 a month. This is early work, entry jobs, hourly roles, limited experience. If you are here and you are lower, it does not mean you are failing. It means you are early. Your real asset at this stage is not income, it is direction. Ages 20 to 24, about $41,000 per year. That's about $3,417 a month. This is the transition stage. First real job, first serious responsibilities, first time you feel the weight of rent. This is also the stage where people make a financial mistake that echoes for a decade. They try to look rich before they become stable. They upgrade the car, they upgrade the apartment, they upgrade the lifestyle, but they do not upgrade the system. So their income rises and their freedom stays flat. Ages 25 to 34, about $59,000 per year. This is about $4,917 a month. This is the climb. Skills compound, confidence grows, job changes happen, negotiations start to matter. For many people, this is the first time they could actually invest real money, not symbolic money, real money. And this is where the timeline splits. One path says, now that I earn more, I can spend more. The other path says, now that I earn more, I can buy time. The difference between those two paths is not personality, it is automation. Ages 35 to 44, about $72,000 per year. That's about $6,000 a month. This is the peak building decade. For many careers, this is where you become truly valuable, but it is also the decade of invisible leakage. Kids, bigger housing, bigger obligations, more subscriptions, more insurance, more stress purchases. People think they are losing because life is expensive. Sometimes that is true, but often the real issue is that every new responsibility arrives without a matching system upgrade. Same habits, larger consequences. Ages 45 to 54, about $71,000 per year. That's about $5,917 a month. Notice something important. The curve does not keep climbing forever. It starts to flatten. This is where many people learn a brutal truth. Income growth is not guaranteed. Some people rise here, some stall, some get squeezed. Industry shifts, health shifts, energy shifts. Age bias is real in certain fields. So, if you are in this age band and you feel like you should be making more, you are not crazy. You are simply running into the shape of the curve. Which brings us to the next stage. Ages 55 to 64, about $68,000 per year. That's about $5,667 a month. The curve often dips, not because you were worse, because more people shift to less intense roles, reduce hours, or move into positions that trade money for sanity. This is the decade where people begin quietly buying time back. Some do it intentionally, some are forced. And if you built no engine before this point, the dip feels like a trap. Ages 65 and older, about $62,000 per year for those still working full-time. That's about $5,167 a month. This number is not retirement income. It is earnings for people still working full-time at this age, which means it reflects a specific subgroup, those who can and choose to keep working. So do not interpret this as the normal outcome for everyone. Interpret it as proof that the income curve is not a straight line. It rises, it flattens, it often falls, and the moment it falls is when people discover whether they built freedom or just built lifestyle. Part 3. The dangerous misunderstanding. Now here is where most people get trapped. They see income by age, and they assume the mission is to maximize income forever. But income is not the mission. Income is a tool. The mission is to reduce the amount of your life you must sell. Because a high income with a high burn rate is not power, it is dependency with nicer packaging. And a modest income with a strong system can create more peace than a massive income with chaos. So instead of asking, how do I rank, ask this: how much of my life does my money already own? That is the quiet question. Part 4. The invisible milestone that matters more than income. I call it the stability line. The stability line is the point where your core monthly life is covered by a system you can repeat, not by motivation, not by perfect discipline. A system. Here is what the stability line looks like in real life. Your bills are paid. You are not floating expenses on hope. You have an emergency buffer, and you invest automatically every month, even if it is not glamorous. This is the milestone that turns your income into an engine, because investing is not a one-time decision. It is a repeated transfer. And once that transfer is stable, something powerful happens. Your income stops being your identity. It becomes your input. Now, after the stability line, there is a second milestone, the rent crossover day. We talked about it in detail in the previous video. Here it is briefly. That is when your portfolio can reliably cover one of your major fixed expenses, rent, mortgage, or the equivalent. Not with a lucky spike, with sustainable income. That milestone does more for your psychology than almost any salary number, because it changes who is paying your life, your boss or your assets. And that is why the income ladder matters only in one way. It tells you what fuel you might have available, but the milestone tells you whether you are building the engine. Part 5. What to do if you are below the benchmark. If you are below the median benchmark for your age group, do not spiral. Use it as a diagnostic. There are only a few major levers that move income. Lever 1. Skill density. How rare is what you can do, and how clearly can you prove it? If your skills are common, the market pays you like you are replaceable. If your skills are rare, the market pays you like you are leverage. So your first move is not to work hard, it is to build a more valuable stack. Pick one lane, one skill that is rewarded in your field, one credential, portfolio, or measurable result, and build proof. Lever 2. Job switching. Many people try to get rich through loyalty, but the market often rewards movement more than it rewards patience. Not always, but often. If your pay has been flat for years, the fastest raise may not be a conversation. It may be an exit. Lever 3. Negotiation. Most people do not negotiate because it feels awkward. They would rather work an extra year than have one uncomfortable conversation. But negotiation is a math problem. If you earn $5,000 more per year for 10 years, that's $50,000 gross. And if you invest a meaningful portion of that, you're buying time. Lever 4. Cost of living strategy. This is the lever people avoid because it feels like defeat. But it is not defeat, it is engineering. If you can lower your fixed costs, you lower the capital required to buy freedom. When your life costs less, your engine needs less fuel to reach the same destination. And this matters because the goal is not to impress strangers. The goal is to own your time. Part 6. What to do if you are above the benchmark. If you are above the median benchmark, do not celebrate too early. High income creates a unique danger: lifestyle gravity. Your income rises and your spending quietly rises to meet it. The car payment appears, the apartment expands, the subscriptions multiply. And you tell yourself it is fine because you can afford it. But affordability is not the question. The question is, does it delay freedom? If your savings rate is low, your timeline is long, even with high income. And if your savings rate is high, your timeline can compress dramatically. So if you are above the benchmark, your job is simple. Do not let your burn rate steal your advantage. Turn the gap into assets. Part 7. The simple system that wins. Here is the system, explained like a machine. 1. Capture. Your paycheck arrives and you immediately route a portion away from spending. 2. Transfer. Automatic movement into a separate account or brokerage, no decision required. 3. Invest. Broad, diversified, long-term assets that match your risk tolerance and time horizon. 4. Protect. Emergency fund, insurance, the boring armor. 5. Upgrade. Every year, you increase the transfer amount as your income rises. That is it. That is the engine. Most people never build it because it is not exciting, but it works because it is not emotional. And in money, emotion is expensive. Part 8. The real question you should ask today. So let's return to that Monday morning. You searched average income by age. You felt something. You compared. You judged your life. Now replace the question. Do not ask, where do I stand? Ask this instead. What is my next milestone? Is it the emergency buffer milestone? Is it the stability line? Is it the first automatic transfer? Is it the debt cleanup milestone? Is it the first month where your investments cover one bill? Because when you hit that first bill, something flips. You stop chasing a number. You start building a machine. And a machine does not care how you feel on Monday. It runs anyway. So the income ladder is real, but it is not the scoreboard. It is a rough map of how pay tends to move as experience grows and then levels off. Your real scoreboard is how much of your life is funded by systems you control, how much time you are buying back, how close you are to the moment when your assets start paying your bills. That is the quiet milestone. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. New episodes every week. See you next time.